Hello cruel world. In this video, I'm going to answer the question, what is gaslighting? So as well as giving you like a formal scientific definition, I'm also going to go through a couple of examples. I'm going to give you an example of a hypothetical couple, and I'm also going to tell you about a real life criminal case I assessed where a young woman had a psychotic illness, schizophrenia, and she was being gaslighted by a number of people, one of whom ended up being her victim. So let's get started. What is gaslighting? So gaslighting is a form of emotional abuse, and it's basically centered around making the target doubt themselves and doubt their sanity. So it's aimed to decrease their self-confidence, and it confuses and disorientates them. It also kind of pushes the power dynamic towards the abuser, so it's easier for the abuser to continue doing this and also to utilize other forms of abuse. Basically, it becomes easier and easier to manipulate the target. So the term gaslighting comes from a play from 1938, where a husband tries to convince a wife that she's slowly turning insane because he gradually decreases the flame on the gaslight. Let's face it, it sounds like a better term than dimmer switching. I am a psychiatrist, so I'm going to quickly throw in a bit of mental health issues into this. So gaslighting commonly could be done by narcissists, commonly could be done by psychopaths. If you're interested in those diagnoses, then you can look at my video, which is comparing narcissists and psychopaths, what they have in common and their differences. Go check that out. Cult leaders, dictators. In fact, in 1984, there's Big Brother is the dictator, and there's a lot of gaslighting in that novel, which I think is also a film. It kind of pushes people into doubting their own beliefs into the laws and the rules of society and what's allowed and what's not. And I think it's only fair to say that ordinary people, people with no psychiatric diagnoses or mental health issues who are abusive, also can be quite good and quite proficient at gaslighting. So I'm going to give you an example of gaslighting at work. This is a hypothetical situation. Let's take a random couple, let's call them, I don't know, Ron and Hermione. So they first start seeing each other, and it's only their third date, and Ron no-shows a cinema outing that he was supposed to attend with her. And so Hermione phones up Ron and asks where he is, and he's like, what are you talking about? We cancelled, we discussed going to the cinema, but we called it off at the last minute because we thought, what's the point of seeing Fast and Furious 6 if we didn't enjoy any of the first 5? Hermione thinks this is a bit weird because she swears that she can remember that they agreed to meet at the cinema, but maybe she got it wrong. Fast forward 3 months, they're having dinner at home, and Hermione goes into the kitchen and she opens the 3rd bottle of red wine that night because Ron's just been commenting on how much he enjoys it, and she suggested opening another bottle. He said, go ahead. But then when she brings it in, Ron has a massive go at her. He's like, what are you doing? You're wasting this wine. There's no way we can drink it. It's 11 o'clock, I have to work tomorrow. I'm gonna get pissed, I'm gonna have a hangover. You just wasted it. And Hermione swears that that's not how the conversation went, but she's beginning to doubt herself. She's beginning to doubt reality and what has happened. Then fast forward 1 year later, and they're both due to go to a dinner party. And basically Ron comes home late from five-a-side football. He's in a foul mood because the team lost. And then they're really late in leaving because, typical Ron, they can't find their car keys. And on the drive to the dinner party, Ron's speeding and he's making Hermione feel really uncomfortable, and she makes a comment asking him to slow down. And then he has a massive go at her. And he said, well, if you didn't spend so long doing your makeup, then we wouldn't have been late. This is so typical of you. And it's not typical, that's not what Hermione does at all. 6 months after that, they're Netflix and chilling, and Hermione sees a text on Ron's phone from a girl at work called Luna, and it's a really inappropriate, flirtatious text. She shows it to Ron, and the first thing he does is he blows his lid, and he says, you're always going through my stuff. You always make me feel like I'm walking on eggshells around you. You're so paranoid. I'm always looking over my shoulder because of you. And none of this is true. She's not like that at all. And then he says, is it any wonder that I flirt with some other women? Women throw themselves at me. You're really lucky to have a man like me in your life. And he makes Hermione start doubting the power dynamic of their relationship. But don't worry people, there is an imaginary happy ending to this make-believe story. After a while, Hermione realizes what's going on. She talks to her friends convince her to leave Ron. She's too good for him anyway. And she moves on with her life, she marries a man called Snape, who turns out to be a professor. So now let me tell you about a real life case of a patient that I assessed. This was a criminal court case a couple of years ago, and there was a young lady called Miss C. She had a diagnosis of schizophrenia and she was on trial facing grievous bodily harm. What she did is she went into a flat full of drug dealers where she used to live with a boyfriend until a few weeks earlier, went up to one of them and slashed him across the chest with a machete. Quite a nasty injury. According to Miss C, just about a week before she moved out, this man, the victim, was really threatening towards her because he was worried that she would blab to the police about all the drug dealing that was going on in this flat. So he took her into a room, showed her his gun and said basically, if you snitch to the police, then this gun is for you and your family. When I assessed Miss C, she told me that basically the flat was full of drug dealers. She moved in with a boyfriend who used to be a drug user, though over time because of the company he kept, he kind of turned into a dealer and worked for these other men. And basically they wanted her out of the house because they didn't particularly like her and because they didn't want her to know about the activities. So they started gaslighting her. They would have long, convoluted conversations with her about her boyfriend cheating on her, and they would show her evidence such as texts that they'd got from him on their phone and photos of him with other women on their phone. And then later on in the day, they would completely deny these conversations. They would delete these messages and delete these photos from their phones. So they knew that she had issues with mental illness and that at times she'd gone in and out of psychosis, she had heard voices, so they were kind of using that to their advantage to disorientate her, confuse her, and just let her doubt what was actually reality. And they would also give her drugs for free and then later on charge her for them and deny conversations where they said they'd give her drugs for free. So this was a diagnostically very messy, sticky, complicated case because there was also the symptoms of mental illness plus drug use. But by the time I assessed her, she was clean and her mental health was much better. So the advice I gave to the court was that she didn't need transfer to a psychiatric unit. However, I explained the context of what had happened, and the judge, I think, gave her a more lenient sentence than she would have otherwise done. So that's the end of this video. I hope that helped you kind of conceptualize what gaslighting actually is and, importantly, what it looks like. If you're interested in this kind of stuff, you should check out the rest of my videos on this channel, A Psych for Sore Minds. I do a whole range of topics, some related to mental illness and offending, some high-profile true crime cases, and some about individual diagnoses. I interview people that have had experience of mental illness, including ex-patients. Basically what I'm trying to say is there's something for everybody on this channel. Hope you enjoy my other videos. Stay euthymic until next time, and please remember, whatever you do, I love you.